to that, I wanted to add something very exciting. Several years ago, you know what? Good. Okay, so this graphic, I want to just tell you what this graphic is, because you may be reading that Carmen Faridia has announced sort of a new initiative in education, and it's called the Framework for Great Schools. And this graphic over here, this outside ring says trust, okay? So that outside ring of trust is what's supposed to be holding great schools together, right? This next ring says effective school leadership and strong family community ties. That's us. That's me and you, and that's us together. That's supposed to make a school really strong. And then this next inside ring is supportive environment, rigorous instruction, and collaborative teachers. Now, I want to tell you that I think that rigorous instruction is when you are in the presence of a really passionate adult who is vigorously and rigorously engaged in inquiry about their subject matter, and they invite children into that study and treat them as adults and peers and have that discourse. That, I think, is the true meaning of rigor. And it's not my own definition. If you get a chance, there's a beautiful video on YouTube about High Tech High. And this is the principal who calls himself the CEO of High Tech High. That's his definition. And this is this school in San Diego that is just a dream. And someday is exactly what will be like. So supportive environment, rigorous instruction, collaborative teachers. There can't be no rigor without collaboration. You know that. Look at everything that we have done juntos, together, right? And then inside, all of that equals student achievement, right? So this, what's terribly exciting to me about this strong family community ties, a few years ago, a parent who is not even here anymore because her kids go to a private school, during the little bit of downtime in the summer, she said, you know, it would be really nice to have some kind of garden on the roof or some kind of lab for science. And I heard there's one up at Regis. I heard there's a couple up over in the other schools, public schools. And so we started touring all the green roofs in New York City. And at first we thought, oh, it would be great to have a green roof. And then we stumbled upon PS 333 and a school on the Upper East Side in District 6 that had these beautiful greenhouses on the roofs. And so then a whole bunch of parents got together and we wrote a proposal and we started shopping it around to city council and borough presidents. And it's one of these, you know, enormously expensive initiatives that nobody really wanted to own the whole thing because it's upwards of really $2 million. And so people would tell us, well, I'll give you this, Donna, if you can get 5 other people around the table to give. And then, you know, everybody would be in a different mood on a different day. Last year, David Greenfield gave us $75,000, gave Tad $75,000, so we had sort of our first 150 grand. And somehow, the powers that be, you know, and people around the city have been supportive enough that the School Construction Authority approached me in January, and we're going to build a STEM lab on the roof. And so it doesn't mean we're entirely off the hook to continue to fundraise and get everybody, you know, around the table, the Brooklyn Borough President, Eric, and all the City Council. But it does mean that we have a foothold. So much so that the SCA came down with their design team. We have a job number with them, and you don't really get a job number with the SCA unless the work is happening. We did a feasibility study in the past. Now we're entering what's called the scope of the work, and the scope should take a couple of months, and after that we move into the design phase. We already have an architectural rendering, and design. We've already done the feasibility study in terms of the load bear. And so then it basically just goes out to bid and they start. So we're guessing it's a 2-year kind of thing. You just never know how long these things are going to take. But time is going to pass anyway, so we may as well have something to show for it. And the exciting thing is that this will be a teaching and learning laboratory, not only for students, but for teachers all over the city, all over the country. You know, a lot of the work that we do here at BSI, we do share with other teachers in the city. Yesterday we had 20 teachers here in something called a math learning community, where we're doing research on conferring with kids and how that can move math understandings along. This year at the National Council of Supervisors of Mathematics, I'll be presenting with a national expert who we work with, Tony Cameron, who's also here working with 5th and 6th grade teachers today. And we'll be presenting on effective feedback for teachers, something we've been working on for a long time, where we film teachers teaching a lesson, and then Tony and I discuss it. She becomes my coach, and then I film myself giving feedback, and then we go into something called the Principals Learning Community, and I get feedback from all of my peers about how my feedback could be more precise, how I can give feedback then about the most high leverage move, and then I go back to the teacher. So it's sort of this cycle of inquiry. So the STEM lab will be someplace where our partners from Columbia, who we worked on building the 1st and 4th grade units of study for our NSF grant, are re-entering the picture. We presented last night down at Stuyvesant for principals, all elementary schools in New York City, about the STEM work that we've done. So this lab on the roof will very much be a lab site where not only our own kids and other kids from other schools can conduct experiments, but where we will be doing research, writing curriculum and sharing that, and turnkeying that, and scaling that for other schools. So it's terribly exciting, and that's happening. And that, you know, the exciting thing about this new framework is that it's not new for us. This is the way that we are at BSI. This is the way that we've always been. So that's something that's happening. Right now upstairs, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th graders are going through the paces of taking the mock ELA exam. We do that for 2 reasons. We do that so that we can get our own ducks in a row, because there are some very firm and particular protocols that we need to follow to be within state guidelines when we administer state assessments. And we like to create the environment so that the kids know what to expect when that test comes along. And then also we use the results of the mock as formative assessment. And that's something you hear us talk a lot about, formative assessment. And it's a lot of, it might sound gobbledygook, but it's very simple. I'm watching you, Katie Colby. I'm seeing what you're doing. I'm watching what you're writing. I'm seeing how you answer questions. I'm learning about you as a learner. And I'm understanding then where there might be holes in your understanding so that I can plug them. And then if I have a whole class and there are trends, right, in that maybe there's a pocket of kids who have trouble coming up with short answers to nonfiction articles, okay? Then I can take that small group when I do my mini lesson, and this is another example of differentiation at BSI. I can take that small group. After I do my mini lesson for the whole group, they go off on their own to work independently, and I can take Katie, and I can take David, and I was going to say Dia. I can take Connie over here, and then I can give them something very targeted and very specific that they need in order to be able to succeed on that assessment. You know how we feel about the tests here. They're low stakes, but since the rest of the world seems to think they're high stakes, we don't want to give the kids a conflicting, confusing message. So we go through the paces, we take them very serious. That's what they're doing upstairs right now. Another thing we're working on, as we continue to grow, now that the oldest students here are in 6th grade. This is the first time that we're doing 6th grade, so we're learning a lot about 6th grade. So we put together, we're doing 2 study groups right now. One is on effective feedback and what that looks like and the result of teacher feedback to student work. So that is what do I tell kids? How does that help them? What other feedback, what form should that feedback take? So we're doing a study group on feedback, teacher feedback, and we're also doing an inquiry into our grading policies. And I think that this will affect 5th grade next year and possibly 4th grade too. And we're partnering with Anderson, who has every summer done research with their grading policy folks to take a look at how they grade, what their policies are. We're all reading a book together on standards-based grading. So as we continue to go along, we will tweak all of these policies so that we can sort of get it right? I mean, I know that I've joked over the years and said we make this up as we go along, and those of you who have been here since the beginning, and I see many of you sitting here, it's really not as capricious as all that. We do, in some ways, make it up as we go along, but it's all based, as you know by now, based on solid research. It's based on our own investigation and research of solid research, and it's based on what we consider to be the most promising practices in this country. So that's another initiative that we're addressing, that we're working on. And I do have to say, and before I leave, we need to have a vote this morning. Last year, we had 6 half-days of professional development for the teachers, and we traded those for 3 full days. What I didn't know then is that the Office of Academic Policy would not approve a swap for 6 half-days for 3 full days. They just don't like that extra full day. So they granted 2 full days, and they said we could go back to them at some point and ask for 2 half-days to make up for the day they wouldn't give us. And so today, what I would like you to do is tell me that you can live with the fact that we would like to actually schedule those 2 half-days for later in the spring. We are in desperate need of time as a team to work together when the kids are not in the building, when we don't have teaching responsibilities. And what we do with that time is we write curriculum, we look at student work, we write assessments, we come together as a staff to decide on policy, to vet what's going on. So we desperately need those 2 half-days. So with a show of hands, I just want to make sure what we do at BSI, what we've always done, we do not enter into any kind of schedule change or really anything without consensus, right? Because I don't want this to feel like something that's happening to you, but we desperately need those 2 days, those 2 half-days. So by a show of hands, how many people are in support of us scheduling 2 more professional development days? It looks to me like it is unanimous. Thank you very much. So, in closing, what I want you to know about the framework for great schools is that while there are some schools in New York City who might think, it's another initiative, it's so exciting for us at BSI. This is a really thrilling time in education in this city, because we have a leader who really gets it. We have someone, this is what we have built our school on, right? Now, do we have, you know, that whole trust piece and that I'm looking at Tricia and thinking about the SLT and the work that we've done on the SLT and how it's so important, and we continue to try and work on this family communication piece. It is thrilling for us when we have morning PTO meetings, because it makes it very easy for the teachers to come down here and share with you some of the interesting work that they are doing with one another and with your children. It's harder to do that at night. I have maintained for the last few years that I was wishing and hoping that we could have more morning PTO meetings. Every single time there's a survey, people say, oh no, we prefer nighttime meetings. This meeting, there are 20 of you here, and there have not been 20 people at the nighttime meetings for a while. I'm not complaining. I'll do whatever it takes. I love having you here. The teachers love having you here. But I want to just say that family engagement is not about people having to come to school. We are just not that kind of community. We are all over the landscape. And so, family engagement is about each and every one having some connection to the school in whatever way that they can. You know, there are some people who I really don't see in this building at all, except for when they're dropping off or picking up sometimes, and they design all of our collateral, and they have branded everything that we've ever done. Is that family engagement? You bet it is. There are some people I never see, but they're home every single night reading with their kids for 20 minutes. Is that family engagement? You bet it is. So we can't make people feel bad because they can't get here, but these morning meetings are pretty terrific, and with you filming them and then we get them on the site, I feel like more people are involved. At PTO meetings, I feel like it is the same people sometimes that I'm always speaking to, but it's a thrill. It's a thrill to be able to share this work with you, and in the name of communication, we want nothing more than to share more of it with you. So thanks for coming. Vote for morning meetings, and I'll see you soon. Yeah.
I'm sure you're on it, but when we schedule 2 half days, you'll talk to Wingspan maybe about the programs that they did.
Oh yeah, they'll do that. By the way, you know, I'm glad that you asked that question. We also are considering a partnership with an after-school program. We are eligible for some of the mayor's free after-school money for next year. And we were approached by a company called Exposure Schools, and they do a really nice job for middle school, after school, and it would be free to parents. And so they're writing a proposal. What are you smiling about?
Free parents.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
I know, right? And well, it's always tricky because there's no busing. But I have to tell you, next year our 7th graders are not allowed on the yellow buses, and I'm already getting secret love letters from parents asking me if only please the kid could be on the bus. It's not my call. If a 7th grade student is on a yellow school bus and that yellow school bus gets into an accident, are they covered by the OPT insurance run? You bet they aren't, okay? And so it's not up to me. I will never give permission for that. And you know, a lot of people feel like, you know, it's all right if you don't have permission. It's like if I look the other way. I want you to know it's illegal and there are really serious consequences. So now that our 7th graders will not be on the OPT buses, either kids are going to be traveling by themselves or the parents are going to be picking them up. So they're sort of here, they're sort of captive, and so we would love to offer deeper, engaging curricula that is enriching in the after school. So we'll see. I don't know if they'll get the contract, but I'm certainly working with them. You got to kick me out of here because I'll just stand in front of you forever.
We like you.
All right? See you soon.
Thank you.